If you're looking at 41-6 and telling yourself it was just one bad night, pause for a second. 4 different threads are pulling on the future of the red and gold right now. There's an absent piece that could have changed the way that game even felt. There's off-season talk that has nothing to do with chasing a flashy WR1, and everything to do with making this offense faster and easier to survive with when the pocket gets chaotic. There's a rookie who finally got touches late, and he might have quietly put himself in the 2026 picture. And then there's the hardest truth, the speed across this roster, or the lack of it on both sides of the ball. So I'll throw it to you right away. What's the first thing you fix? And what's the one thing that genuinely bothers you? And yeah, we've got to go to the uncomfortable place first, because that Seattle loss wasn't just ugly on the scoreboard. It was a straight-up lesson in what happens when your offense can't separate when the season demands it. You watched Purdy hang onto the ball just a tick too long. You watched routes stall out. You watched 3rd and long turn into a cliff edge. Then the reasons start flying. No Kittle. Pearsall was banged up. All of that is real. But there was another missing piece that mattered too. Brandon Ayuk. And before the comments light up, let me be clear. I'm not pretending the Ayuk situation didn't leave a bad taste. I'm not asking you to forget how the relationship with the franchise played out. I'm talking football, fit, structure. That Seattle game was begging for a receiver who can win a clean one-on-one and make defenses respect every inch of grass. Because when nobody is separating, Kyle Shanahan's timing-based offense starts to choke. Corners sit tighter. The pass rush gets home faster. Your margin for error goes from small to basically non-existent. Pearsall, limited, couldn't be that answer in that moment. Jawan Jennings plays with his hair on fire, but he's not that constant matchup stress on every route. And when you don't have a guy who pulls coverage and changes the math, everybody feels it. The backfield sees heavier boxes, the tight end becomes the first read more often, and the quarterback has to be perfect. Now run the same game back in your head with Ayuk out there. Not magic, not wishful thinking, just geometry. He forces corners to give a little more cushion. He opens space on those in-breakers. He gives Purdy a window before the pocket caves in. Maybe you still lose, maybe. But it's tough to buy that the offense just dies on 2 field goals. And that's what stings the most. The identity of the offense felt incomplete at the worst possible time. Which is why the off-season conversation gets real fast. The 49ers can't walk into spring acting like a rookie automatically replaces that kind of void. They need a receiver who can win routes and actually threaten coverage, someone who brings separation back. Whether it's the market, a trade, or some creative mix of both, that playoff game made the message loud. Without a wideout who can consistently win matchups, the offense gets predictable. And once you're predictable, any team that can generate pressure with 4 will squeeze the life out of you. And if you think that's all just abstract, there's already another idea being floated that feels less like a headline grab and more like a specific fit. While people argue about who's the next WR1, it sounds like the front office is staring at something quieter, maybe even more urgent. Because it doesn't matter how big the name is if the offense still freezes when protection cracks. That's why the Wan'Dale Robinson buzz is interesting. Not because it's some superstar splash, because it's practical. The kind of move that changes the rhythm of your offense without needing a spotlight. Go back to what was missing against Seattle. Quick answers, short routes with instant separation, a target who catches in stride and turns 5 yards into 12. Robinson lives in that space. He's not a jump ball guy. He's not stacking corners on fades in the red zone. But he can absolutely win in the details. Pre-snap motion that helps expose coverage. Screens that basically function like extensions of the run game. Choice routes over the middle that speed up the QB's read. The kind of weapon that makes a pass rush hesitate because the ball is already gone. And when the pocket starts collapsing with just 4 rushers, Shanahan's system needs that relief immediately. You can't sit there waiting on long-developing concepts. Robinson gives you short area burst and reliable hands underneath, and then he makes defenders tackle in space. Miss once, it's a first down. Miss twice, that drive suddenly has teeth. It changes how a defense has to think. What's also appealing is he doesn't have to blow up the rest of the offense to matter. He's not stealing Debo's role. He's not taking touches away from the tight ends. He's a complement. He gives you tempo. He gives your quarterback a rhythm throw before the hit arrives. And when Purdy gets into rhythm, the playbook opens. Defenses hesitate for half a beat. That's how you get chunk plays back without pretending you need one savior to fix everything. Now, just to keep it honest, this is off-season talk. Nothing is confirmed yet. But the fact that his name is being floated tells you where the thinking is headed. It's not about chasing the flashiest option. It's about fixing what broke structurally when the season hit the wall. After that playoff loss, ignoring the quick game need would be signing up to repeat the same mistake. And while the fan base is still trying to process all of that, there was one moment late in that game that might end up being bigger than it looked. In the middle of cap math, off-season frustration, and the sting of elimination, we got a late glance. Easy to miss, but it could matter a lot for 2026. When the game was out of reach and Christian McCaffrey finally came off to protect his body, Jordan James got his first real NFL carries. Not many, not glamorous, but enough to make you stop and think. 6 rushes, 28 yards. Garbage time, sure. Seattle was happy to let the clock run. But football isn't only context. It's what you look like inside that context. And James looked decisive. Quick to his read. A little burst. No dancing around. He took what the line gave him and squeezed more out of it. He ran like a guy trying to claim a real spot on the depth chart. And his background is exactly why it matters. 5th-round pick in the 2025 draft out of Oregon. A quick back who can profile as a real RB2 in the right setup. The plan in camp was for him to compete for that backup role. Then the hand injury slowed everything down. By the time he was healthy, the season already had a different rhythm. McCaffrey carrying a ton. Brian Robinson Jr. taking a chunk of the complimentary work. James basically became Plan C, through no fault of his own. But as the year went on, the internal story shifted. He climbed past Isaac Guerendo on the depth chart. That doesn't happen by accident. Guerendo flashed in 2024, but something clearly changed with how the staff viewed him in 2025. Robinson, meanwhile, was fine. Solid production, a couple touchdowns. But he's headed toward free agency. And honestly, it makes sense for him to chase a situation where he can get more touches, because behind McCaffrey, there's only so much runway. So, now the board starts tilting. John Lynch has already said they view James as a potential direct backup to McCaffrey before the injury. And if money is needed elsewhere, solving RB2 in-house starts to look even more likely. Yum, cheap, fresh legs, and we still haven't really seen the full version of what he can be. That doesn't mean Jordan James is about to turn into a star, but it does mean 2026 could open with less uncertainty in the backfield than people think. Less wear on McCaffrey, more options for the offense, and maybe that quiet moment at the end of a lost game was the start of a bigger story. Then we get to the harshest truth that came out of 41-6, the speed on this roster, and what it means when you don't have enough of it in January. That 35-point loss was the second largest margin in a playoff game in franchise history. And Shanahan's perspective afterward was basically, it's a loss. Don't make more of it than it was. Mentally, I get it. But the tape still hits you with a brutal diagnosis. This roster didn't look fast enough where it matters most. And in playoff football, if you don't have speed, you don't have much oxygen. 2 years ago, this offense flew. McCaffrey, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. Week after week, you'd see Niners near the top of the next-gen stats speed board. Defenses felt like they were defending a smaller field. In 2025, that vanished. No offensive skill player topping 20 miles per hour. The fastest ball carrier in the postseason? Brock Purdy. Think about that for a second. When the quarterback is the one hitting top speed, something's off. And it wasn't just offense. The defense looked slow on the perimeter at the worst times. Barkley running away. Jackson Smith-Njigba getting clean separation on a touchdown. Over and over, it felt like the opponent hit the gas and the Niners were reacting a beat late. The rookies have real speed, no question. But across the back seven, the play speed didn't look like a team built for a deep playoff run. That ties right into another issue: the interior offensive line. Seattle and Philadelphia won from the inside out. Immediate push, quick collapse. Spencer Burford and Ben Barch are free agents. Jake Brendel is under contract, but he'll be 34 by week 1. Dominic Pooney looks like a piece you can win with. But if the heart of your line can't hold up, none of the outside stuff matters. And the free agent pool doesn't exactly scream problem solved, which is why the draft becomes unavoidable, even if it pushes against old front office habits. And then there's the secondary. The teams still standing usually have that guy on the back end. Witherspoon, Surtain, Gonzalez, a player who changes the opposing game plan. Right now, San Francisco has pieces and hope, but not a true blue-chip eraser. Without that, your pass rush has to be perfect every snap, and that's not a real plan. So no, 41-6 wasn't just a loss, it was a mirror. It showed the weight of a missing receiver who could have changed how the offense functioned. It showed the kind of quick game addition that could bring rhythm back. It showed a young back who might matter sooner than expected. And it showed a roster that needs speed and edge again if it wants to dictate terms in January. Now I want it from you. Which of these 4 lessons is the most urgent fix for 2026? Drop it in the comments and argue it out with the faithful. And if you're rocking with the Niner gang, hit like, subscribe, and stay locked in, because this offseason feels like it's gonna get loud.